through is kind of shorter. It's about logging on the system. Okay, so what you need to log into the system, if you've never done before, essentially you just need some basic knowledge of Bash or the shell to interact with the supercomputer. The reason is we access a supercomputer through a command line interface. There is no graphics or there is no visual interface aside unless you're using the visualization nodes, but that is a different topic. Okay, I covered this. So the goal of this slide is to essentially familiarize yourself on a way you can access Cetonix. I'm sure that all of you have already set up your account. You may have already tried to log in on Cetonix, but we have a first demo here just to cover everybody and make sure everybody is on the same page. You can access Cetonix through the command line interface, and there are various ways you can do that depending on the system you're using. So if you're using Linux or Mac, you have a terminal application already installed on the system you can use. Otherwise, if you're on Windows, you may use the interface, the command line interface, but mostly people use software such as MobXterm. So brief question is, has anybody already accessed Cetonix? Is there anyone who didn't access Cetonix? Okay. Someone? Who? Okay. Okay, so regarding to the accounts, yeah, we have training accounts. If you already joined the project with your mentor or your supervisor, you should already have a more permanent account you can use throughout your internship. If you already have an account, you can use your own account, the one you will be using throughout the internship. If not, there are training accounts. Okay, so there are trainings accounts in the chat. They've been put in the chat of this meeting.
You have access, right? Spreadsheet we shared yesterday, and I can see your names in there. So.
Okay. Yeah, I'll wait 5 minutes so that you all can get set up. So try to connect to the system using the command line interface or MobXterm if you're using Windows, and Okay, I think I'll slowly move on, unless you tell me to stop and then I stop. I just want to show you. What you actually do is essentially, if you are on the command line on Linux or macOS, you can use SSH, your username at setonics.posi.org.au. What happens is that you will have to type, we use your username, and then you will be asked to type your password. Be careful, if you type wrongly your password for 3 times in a row, then your account might be blocked. So be careful when you type your password. But what happens is once you manage to connect correctly to Setonics, you will be placed automatically on one of the login nodes. And the first thing you will see is a message, what we call the message of the day, containing important information user need to be aware of, such as the terms of service, the scratch purge policy that we'll cover later, information regarding the maintenance and significant changes that happened recently. We will also see ASCII artwork. So it's an representation of quokka. Setonics is the scientific name for the quokka, like a local animal to Western Australia. And we chose the animal as representative, as a mascot of the system, essentially. And it is depicted in the message of the day. This particular artwork has been, there has been a contest across researchers who could provide the best artwork. And this one was the one provided by one of our researchers who won the contest. There are a few exercises you can, this is an exercise you can actually do, and once you log in, there are a few things you can explore around. So where are you currently in terms of directory? So when you log in, where do you land? So what directory is, and what's the name of the node or login node you're in? You can type the hostname command to see what's the name of the of the login node you're in. What's the content of your home directory? And there are a few variables that are defined for you once you log in on the system. The most important one the most important ones are the home variable that points you to your home directory. My Scratch and my software will point you to your local dedicated space or directory tree on the Scratch file system and the software file system. We will cover those later in depth, but essentially the Scratch file system is for temporary data you use to for temporary data you need for your computation, and the software file system is where you install your software and place your bash scripts and everything you need to submit the jobs. So I'll give you a few minutes to try it out and explore around if you haven't before. While you do that, the next slides will actually show you an example of the output of these exercises, these commands. So the host name of a login node will always be setonics dash and then the number of the login node, so an identifier of the login node. Your home directory is under /home/ your username. When you log in, there is not much there, so the home directory will only contain configuration files. My Scratch and my software will point you to your own directories that sit under your own default project. So you will have a project in most of you should only belong to one project, which is your internship project. And so your own directory will, both on Scratch and software, will always sit underneath your project directory. The project directory is readable and writable by all members of the project, while your private directory is readable by other members of the project, but they cannot write to it. A few things to remind when log into Setonics. If you forget your password or you have problem with your password, you can always reset your password to our system, reset password, our reset password system. We also have systems that protect us from various attacks. So if you denial services attacks and other type of attacks that can happen, and for your own security, we block the account if there are too many failed login attempts. In that case, you can always contact the support and we can figure that one out. We will ask you to prove your identity. Usually if the mail comes from your recognized email account, then I will take it from there. Sometimes the system is not available and it won't be available in the maintenance days. Maintenance days, scheduled maintenance is when we take down the supercomputer for maintenance. So we need to replace a parts or something needs to be fixed. Then sometimes we need to take it away from researchers. And then that might be the cause why you cannot log into the system. So always check the status page. We have a status page stating when the maintenance is on, and we always have a reminder, send a reminder to users about incoming maintenance. Sometimes the system becomes unavailable because there is some problem, it was not on schedule, so we try to bring back the system as soon as possible. For authentication, we always suggest use SSH keys that will avoid you to type your password all the time, and it's in general a safer way to connect to the system. So we do have documentation on how to set up the SSH authentication, and we also have a few commands on these slides. I suggest you do this with calm on a second moment, but we have the documentation on actually how you can do that. Some applications you can run on the supercomputer might have a graphical interface, and there is this feature called X11 forwarding, such that the graphical interface on the supercomputer is actually rendered on your laptop. You can activate this feature with SSH-X or -Y, depending on the system. It's good for smaller applications, but we usually do not suggest using that. We have visualization services, remote visualization services. We have dedicated nodes for you to provide to visualize the results of your computation instead of using X11 forwarding. But if you need to open a single image or you need a small image or need to check quickly something, then this could be an option for you. And essentially, we have very quickly went through how you can log in onto the system. I'm pretty sure all of you have already. I suggest do not run also on login nodes. You do not. You should not always. You should not share. First of all, you should not share your password and accounts with anybody. It's a policy with at Pawsey. Your account is personal and should not be used by other people. Do not share your account or password. We also have seen that there are measures in place on protecting the system. So if you use your SSH authentication, then the risk of getting your account blocked is essentially due to wrong password is basically nullified. So you just use SSH keys, set up SSH keys as soon as possible. And yeah, that's it for now for me, and I'll hand over to Chris for the next part. I think we can also maybe, how many times we can take a break, or if you need a break? Okay. Yeah, definitely. We work, yeah.